A female dragon brought her dying young to this human man, and the incredible happened. Beginning, the man who lived alone. Elias Rourke was not the sort of man people sought out anymore. Years ago, he had been a decorated field medic in the Interstellar Defense Corps, saving lives in places most humans never dared to imagine. He had stood in alien trenches, stitching soldiers together under gunfire. He had cracked open supply crates on ice moons, improvising medicine out of frozen moss and scraps of nanotech. But that was before the wars ended, before Earth's colonies collapsed into isolation, and before Elias retired to the forgotten edge of nowhere. Now he lived in the mountain valleys of Arden 4, a quiet green world where the skies never stopped shimmering with auroras. His cabin, built of scavenged alloy panels and native stone, rested at the base of the Cobalt Cliffs. Locals from the nearest settlement, 40 kilometers away, whispered of the lonely doctor who preferred the company of storms. They were not entirely wrong. Elias had chosen solitude, but solitude had also chosen him. He carried scars both physical and invisible. His left leg was reinforced with bone plate, and his chest carried the slow ache of shrapnel that even modern medics couldn't remove. Worse were the memories, the cries of children on battlefields, the red glare of alien skies. He tended his gardens, brewed bitter tea from mountain herbs, and studied the creatures of Arden 4 from a distance. Dragons, the settlers called them, though they were unlike any dragons of Earth's myths. These creatures were leathery-winged, scaled in colors that shimmered between ultraviolet and gold. They lived in nesting colonies among the cliffs, fiercely protective of their young, rarely tolerating human presence. Elias admired them from afar, but knew better than to approach. Until one night, when everything changed. Middle, the dragon's plea. It began with a storm. Arden 4 storms were no ordinary tempests. They carried static fields that danced across the skin, and lightning that split the sky like shattered glass. Elias had secured his cabin, and was brewing a pot of tea when he heard it. A pounding, deliberate strike against his reinforced door. Not the wind, not debris. A knock. With caution, Elias unlocked the metal brace and opened the door, only to stagger back in shock. A dragon crouched before him, not one of the colossal males that patrolled the skies, but a female, lean and silver-scaled, her wings folded tight against her sides. Her luminous eyes, slit-pupiled yet strangely expressive, locked onto his. She was wounded, thin streaks of plasma burns along her flank, and clutched against her chest, nestled within her claws, was something smaller. A hatchling, barely larger than a human child. The young dragon was limp, its chest shuddering with shallow breaths. Its scales were dull, patches flaking away as though eaten by some disease. Its eyes fluttered, unfocused. The female dragon lowered her head, pressing the hatchling toward Elias. A guttural sound rumbled from her throat, deep, resonant, but pleading. Elias froze. His instinct screamed danger. A dragon could crush him in an instant. But those eyes were not threatening. They were desperate. You don't even understand me, he whispered hoarsely. But the mother dragon did not retreat. She pressed the hatchling closer, letting out another keening cry. And in that moment, Elias's old training surged back. He saw not a monster, but a patient, one dying unless someone intervened. All right, Elias muttered, his voice trembling. All right then, bring it inside. The dragon shifted, carefully placing the hatchling onto the cabin floor. Then she backed into the storm, crouching low, watching with piercing intensity. Elias knelt by the hatchling. He could feel its body heat radiating through his gloves. Its breathing was shallow, heart arrhythmic. Something was ravaging it from the inside, a systemic infection. He gathered his medical kit, the same kit he had once carried into war zones. He had thought he'd never open it again. Now his hands worked with the certainty of muscle memory. Scalpel, bioscanner, nanite injector. The hatchling stirred weakly, its claws twitching against the floor. Elias scanned its body. Foreign parasites rilled its bloodstream, burrowing into tissue, not native parasites. Either. His heart clenched. Something off-world. Had this dragonling encountered alien pathogens brought unknowingly by settlers? Or worse, something released deliberately? No time to wonder. He loaded the nanite vial, calibrating the dosage to match the hatchling's cellular structure. Too much, and he could destroy it. Too little, and the infection would spread. The mother dragon let out a sharp hiss as a needle pierced the hatchling's scale. Elias ignored her. His world narrowed to the rhythm of heartbeats and breaths. He had seen children like this on battlefields. He had saved some. He had lost many. Not this one. Not tonight. Hours passed. Sweat dripped down Elias's brow as he worked. Cooling fever, flushing toxins, stabilizing vitals. When dawn's first light pierced the storm clouds, the hatchling's breathing had steadied. Its eyes opened, clear and golden. The mother dragon let out a sound unlike anything Elias had ever heard. Half roar, half sob. She bent low, touching her snout to the hatchling's neck. Then, with surprising gentleness, she nudged Elias's chest. A gesture of gratitude. Elias sat back, exhausted, trembling. For the first time in years, he felt a weight lift from his chest. He had saved a life again. But he also knew this was only the beginning. Rising conflict, the hunters, For 3 days, the Dragon Mother and her young remained near Elias's cabin. She hunted in the valleys, bringing back food. The hatchling gained strength, even daring to flap its wings awkwardly. Elias monitored its recovery, adjusting the nanite treatments. A bond formed in silence. The mother dragon no longer growled when he approached. The hatchling nudged his leg like a curious child. Elias even caught himself speaking to them, as if they understood. But news travels fast on frontier worlds. By the 4th day, Elias noticed signs of intruders, boot tracks in the mud, faint energy signatures near the cliffs. Settler hunters. The dragons of Arden 4 were valuable. Their scales resisted plasma. Their blood contained unique enzymes used in medical serums. Poachers had long sought them, despite colony law forbidding the practice. And now, Elias realized with horror, they must have tracked the mother dragon here. That night, the hunters came, armed with ion rifles and nets that shimmer with stasis fields. They crept through the stormlit valley. Elias spotted them first, his old soldier's instincts prickling. He stepped outside, standing firm before the cabin. "You don't want to do this," Elias warned, his voice low but steady. One of the hunters sneered. "Old man, step aside. That beast's worth more than your cabin and everything in it. We've heard rumors. Silver scales, rare breed. And a hatchling too? That's a fortune." The mother dragon emerged, wings unfurled, growls shaking the ground. The hunters raised their weapons. Elias's blood boiled. He had once sworn an oath to protect life. That oath had not died with the wars. "You'll have to go through me," he said. The hunters laughed. But the laugh died as Elias lifted his medkit, modified, reinforced. He wasn't just a healer. He had been a soldier too. A press of a button released a pulse shield, humming with blue energy. The battle was chaos. Plasma bolts scorched the ground. The dragon roared, sweeping hunters aside with wing beats like thunder. Elias ducked behind rocks, tossing flash charges at blinded sensors. The hatchling shrieked, hiding beneath its mother. One hunter managed to fire a net, the stasis field wrapping around the mother dragon's wing. She staggered, roaring in pain. Another hunter raised his rifle, aiming at the hatchling. Elias didn't think. He moved, throwing himself between a hunter and a dragonling. Elias triggered the last of his nanite vials, overloading the injector into a blinding burst of energy. The rifle exploded in the hunter's hands. The shockwave knocked Elias to the ground. Pain seared his chest. But when his vision cleared, the hunters were retreating, scrambling into the storm. The mother dragon shredded the net with her claws, shrieking victory. Elias lay in the mud, gasping. He felt warm breath on his face as the dragon mother bent down, her golden eyes filled with something unthinkable, concern. The hatchling pressed against his side, as though trying to keep him warm. For the first time in years, Elias realized he was not alone, ending the incredible bond. Elias survived his injuries, though his chest ached with every breath. The dragon mother and her young did not leave. They lingered by his cabin, watching, guarding, almost protecting him. Weeks passed. Word of the hunter's failure spread. Poachers avoided the valley, whispering of the old medic who had tamed dragons. But Elias knew the truth. He had not tamed them. They had chosen him. The hatchling grew stronger by the day, practicing flight in circles above the cabin. Sometimes it landed clumsily on the roof, peering through the skylight at Elias with mischievous eyes. The mother dragon often rested nearby, her silver scales glinting under Arden 4's auroras. Elias found peace he thought he'd never know again. The ghosts of war still haunted him, but now they were tempered by the sound of wings in the sky, the touch of scaled snouts nudging his shoulder, the knowledge that he mattered to someone, human or not. One evening, as the sun bled violet across the horizon, the dragon mother approached him. Slowly, carefully, she lowered her head until her snout touched his chest, right over the scar place where shrapnel had once lodged. The hatchling chirped beside her, echoing the gesture. A bond, unspoken but unbreakable. The incredible had indeed happened. A man who had lost his purpose found it again, not in humanity, but in the trust of two creatures who should have feared him. From that day forward, the people of Arden 4 told stories of the healer who lived with dragons. Some called him protector, others fool, but Elias knew better. He was no longer alone, and in a universe scarred by war, that was nothing short of miraculous.